How's it going, everyone? I'm Burt Macklin here, and we're here to talk a little bit of tonight's TNA Impact, a little bit of NXT TNA, some other stuff, and of course, against all odds predictions. But of course, I'm joined by this week, as always, my good buddy Io. How you doing?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We have a lot to talk about tonight. But before we get into that, I just want to remind everyone that this week's podcast is sponsored by Shroom Bar, the protein mushroom bar. It's made up of not psychedelics, but four powerful mushroom adaptions. It has lion's mane, which increases focus, memory, and neuroplasticity, making it easier to form new patterns and learn new things. Next time you're trying to learn that new move, it actually stick in your head rather than forgetting it immediately. It has cordyceps, which increases VO2 max, blood flow, and overall endurance. It has reishi, which decreases stress. It has turkey tail, which boosts your immune system, and you're going to need that when you're on those nasty ass gym mats. On top of all that, it has 12 grams of protein. Go to shroombar.com and use code BODYSLAM at checkout for 25% off your first order. Okay, now just before we get into anything, I think we need to address the big news, and I want you to take the lead on this one because I feel like you have something to say.
Right. So, Sunday morning, R-Truth tweeted out that WWE was not re-signing his contract, and it should be it's coming up in a couple days, and that taken so many people aback and shocked. And when I mean not just the fans, but wrestlers, members of the roster were taken aback to what? Why are they letting R-Truth go? And it's because it's just out of all the people, you wouldn't think they would just kind of let go easily. R-Truth's on that very list, so it's just kind of ridiculous. It's just kind of crazy because everybody loves R-Truth. He's been he's been an instrumental part of the company for the last 20 years. He's he's been great. He's been great at anything that they gave him, whether it was in ring or segments or whatnot, and to see this happen is just kind of it's just wild. And so now we're seeing, and obviously as people know from the following night Monday, folks were chanting, "We want truth, we want truth." He's getting all these praises from superstars and wrestlers. So for this to kind of and obviously we'll get to what he could possibly do after. It's just kind of it's wow. And then it goes to show nobody's safe, it seems like, with new management, TKO and stuff. What's your thought?
But what you said, and I agree with everything you said, and I'm completely shocked as well. And what you said, you summed it up perfectly. When I think of the two company guys currently there, I think of R-Truth and I think of The Miz. You know what I mean? And I would feel the same way if The Miz got let go. He's another one that would do anything for the company, whatever role it seems like you'd put him in. And if anything, I thought R-Truth, and especially, not especially, but R-Truth and The Miz, I felt like both those guys were two guys you would see end up Titus O'Neil, ambassadors for the company. You know what I mean? I feel like they were both lifers. You know what I mean? They'll do so much. You could put them anywhere. As far as you saying no one's safe, it definitely seems that way, and I didn't think that was going to happen, but it seems the new, especially because if you think about it, the people who own WWE or the people who own UFC, TKO, the way they had operated UFC before very shrewdly, so you could see a little bit of that seeping into WWE. So
Right.
This is very interesting.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned UFC because they had that same situation where before new owners, you had guys like Chuck Liddell and Forrest Griffin who kind of had a lifetime job, after all the years, they put their body through, and then all of a sudden, like new management, just kind of cut them off, and it's like, well, you can't really do much about it. It's off of Dana's hands, and the Fertitta brothers are gone. So we're kind of seeing the similarity, like, and I know everyone, obviously, too many people are pointing fingers at Triple H, like, you pointing blames at Triple H and this and that. We're like, listen, at the end of the day, Triple H has a boss of his own, so you can't really put this all faulty on him. It's just TKO, they're trying to like figure out in their own mind what suits best for them to maintain their own caches and stuff, and that's how it is. But yeah, I'll be shocked if the Miz isn't in that same boat, because I think I saw he started unfollowing WWE accounts. So guess we'll have to hear what goes from there.
You could also look at it, and that was great as well. You could also look at it too, like for the people who watch wrestling, who also watch sports, if you watch any sports with like a cap league, like let's take the NFL, you know what I mean? The way that you go for it in the NFL a lot of times is if you have a rookie quarterback on a baller rookie quarterback on a rookie salary, then you could load that team up with, ballers, but those ballers cost a lot of money. But then there's going to be a time when you decide who you need to keep and who you need to let go. And that's when the draft comes in. And WWE has basically their own farm system where they have NXT. I don't know if you were the one that kind of alluded to this, Io, in one of the group chats, but they can have those people on that roster for a lot cheaper, develop them. You know what I mean? Like it's trying to maybe get rid of some of these overpriced people on the roster. You know what I mean? No disrespect to them, but it is a business after all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why are they shocking that, just because I felt like that, and he could well be back in, that role later.
Yeah.
But I think we should kind of transition that to, and it's funny, Joseph says there was a match announced for tomorrow that I think Ron Truth, the Killians will return into TNA with the 8-man. And I want you to take the lead again on this, because I know you watched TNA a lot longer before I did.
Yes. Long before R-Truth became R-Truth, he was very rising young talent by Ron the Truth Killings. And this was right after he got released from WWE the first run, back when he was K-Quick. So when he came into TNA the first time, he had a chip on his shoulder, very focused, had a lot to say, and then we're starting to show more, I guess you could say, he's kind of like a more aggressive zone, different side of this Ron Killings. And then, eventually he would go on to defeat Ken Shamrock, of all people, to go on to become the first black NWA World Heavyweight Champion. A two-time, mind you. And Killings, he had a good run. He pretty much faced almost everyone there, with the exception of Kurt Angle so, but he pretty much faced everyone there. He had a good run, and he actually. I take that back. He did face Angle. We'll get to. He actually did win the tag titles with former NFL player Adam Pac-Man Jones.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how crazy that is too. So, I think I could speak. I was at least for a majority of the TNA family. I think we will and as you see, pay attention on Twitter, a lot of the TNA roster, they seem to be all in. So yeah, I think we would definitely welcome Ron Killings, back to TNA. Never say never, but I think we got a good chance we might come see him around soon.
And see, that's the thing, because I think as soon as this happened, like like the hardcore wrestling fans who like happened to watch him and in TNA at that time and have maybe followed his career now is like, I'm kind of tired of this comedy. I want to go back to, TNA, Ron Killings. And I can't believe this happened. So I'm like, okay. So I think a lot of those people have been vocal and like wanting him to come back to TNA. I know like a couple weeks ago, I think we were talking about it just because Hall of Fame time,
Yeah.
what a great way to bring him in,
Yeah.
I know I want Santana.
Slammiversary season too.
Yeah. Bring him in, maybe eventually get maybe a world title run, put him in the Hall of Fame because I definitely think he is one of those people that maybe people don't think about when they talk about the Hall of Fame, but he definitely should be in.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, do you have anything else to say before we move on?
I think that kind of covers it for about Truth. Great person, great talent. Looking forward to what's next for him.
Yeah, and the same, and in a time when like we have a lot of the wrestling companies, there are a lot of older guys. I think he can still go with the best of the older guys. You know what I mean? I still think he's in phenomenal shape. People have seen him, and it's not like his legs should be burned out. You know what I mean? He's not wrestling a lot.
Nah. And I saw one comment on the Facebook, someone saying like he's old and slowed down, and I'm like, nah, bro, he's just not. They just don't put him enough wrestling, like, because right now like his segments and entertainment, they're kind of like what getting him over. But as far as in ring, I mean, hey, like I said, he hasn't really wrestled much, so you don't know.
If that's what I'm saying. If that was built as a retirement match against John Cena, that match would have been a lot better. You know what I mean? And people would have been saying that he broke. You know what I mean? It would have been people don't know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next, we're going to move on to little NXT TNA. We had on NXT this week, we had Santana versus Trick Williams for the TNA World Championship. And I'm surprised they did this match early. So early. And I'm also surprised they had not a clean finish, but I don't think it really hurt Santana just because I think this is going to set up something for him to do, obviously, but until we get to him getting his rematch against Trick. Just because if you watch this whole match, the whole time Trick was, and it was funny, Corey was talking about how, Trick's had high demands since he's became world champion. He's asking for first class airfare, which I thought that was funny. I thought that was a very good Easter egg. And then you know what I mean? And then just the whole time, and I liked how, again, they're continuing the story of that Santana is trying to, like, he's not running from being the guy that put the TNA on his back and get the title back. I thought that was the story of this match. And one more thing before because I want to hear obviously what you have to say. I thought Trick continues to not only wrestle better as a heel, but again, I think every time he wrestles somebody who maybe is more seasoned than him, he has his best match. I thought, again, this was his best match to date. But what did you think?
Well, I'll say I think I'll say at first I was kind of questioning why were they doing the match a bit early, especially like when we kind of like sense the teases and have our own thoughts. But now after last Tuesday, I understand why they did, and I think it's done excellent to a T. I'll get into the match real quick, but first off, Santana, he got over real quick that instant with the NXT crowd, and Trick, he cut a good promo too earlier. But so the match, it was pretty good. The crowd was, and it's crazy, like for an NXT crowd to be rooting against one of their own. That just kind of like tells you like, A, like how over Santana is, and B, how we're catching on with this whole Trick taking the title away storyline. So basically we're catching on to something like with this whole title hostage based storyline. And Elijah was there in attendance, to preview for Against the Odds, as we'll get to later. Good stuff. Again, crowd was over. Then, as the referee got distracted with Elijah after Trick and Elijah went after. Then, as I would expect, who would arrive? AJ Francis and Casey Navarro from First Class came in. Chokeslam Santana on the announce table. Trick took advantage. Bam. Trick's still champion. But again, very good match. Both guys came off looking strong. Most of the match, Santana was looking good, and then Trick, getting the victory in the end. I'll let you carry. So I kind of like this potential pairing of First Class and Trick. I think it kind of makes sense, both given all three of their styles and like their lifestyles and stuff. How about you?
Yeah, especially because I didn't watch. I forgot to watch all of it. I just was watched a little like quick 30 seconds. But Trick did cut already did a diss track on Santana, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is.
I still listen to it. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we get another one, maybe featuring First Class, because you're right, this fits. I like how you pointed out the crowd's kind of turning on Trick, which is good. He's a heel. They were chanting "Beat that Trick," which Trick is doing a phenomenal job getting heat, and the commentary was just putting him over too. Like Corey noted that he's spending money like a world champ already. Like and also. Again, I'm not trying to make this a thing about where I'm railing against AEW, but the whole story of this match too was them putting over talking about the history of TNA. Like Vic noted that Trick is the fifth person to hold the NXT title and the TNA World title.
Yeah.
He said Drew and Bobby. I don't know the other two. Do you happen to know?
Joe, Nemeths. Let's see. Joe, Nemeth. You mentioned Drew, Bobby Roode.
And then they said Trick.
Yeah.
So
and then Trick, yeah.
That's great. That's pretty. That's crazy. That's like adding to that. That's a notch on Trick's belt. Like, you know what I mean? And again, that them adding a little history.
Also, the shout out to NXT. I'm gonna say NXT. They really done a good job of showcasing how important that the TNA World Title is, because now it main evented one of their PLEs and now main evented NXT.
Yeah. They're doing a great job. Like just kind of like they had the belt on display. They're always like putting it over as like they call it the top prize in TNA. They're doing a great job of that. Yeah, this match was really good. They gave Santana a lot. Like he hit everything. He hit his rolling cutter. He hit a 450. So again, why not? I was a little shocked at this match early. It really doesn't matter because again, it's like an away game. You know what I mean? And the way that they said this could be his only shot, that's not true. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think this just leads to him probably facing. Is he facing AJ Francis at Against Odds?
No, they're having the First Class Penthouse with Santana as the guest.
Okay,
which is kind of like crazy. Which is kind of like it's kind of like crazy thinking like. But we'll get into Against All Odds later.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so do you have anything else to say about NXT?
Yeah. I say for TNA fans, I say we keep watching because it seems like they're going to continue on TNA storylines onto NXT programs, and I think that's then I think that's an awesome thing.
Yeah.
As we can see, like the synergy, with NXT and TNA as it incorporates to both programs, which is pretty cool. So
Yeah. It's almost, I like how they've made it a point to where you kind of need to pay attention to both now. So, okay. So now we're going to move on to tonight's episode of TNA. Hannafin happened to know that it was episode 1090 of Impact. I believe that's what he said, which is
I think yesterday yesterday I think TNA Impact celebrated 21 years. Like the TV show, I'm talking about like the TV show, Impact 21 years.
that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, again, and people constantly act like this company's dying and shit. You know what I mean? When it's like, they've been around for 21 years. You know what I mean? There obviously were some bad times, but you can't really say that. You shouldn't even say that now, just because they've been rolling. So, okay, we opened up with Indi Hartwell, and before obviously the credits rolling in the show, we're just kind of talking again about Show and Trick winning the title. But so people should have already known that by now. But that's still kind of the theme. The TNA World Champion. I mean, the title doesn't exist in TNA right now.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, he's told like the champ decides when he wants to show up here.
Yeah. Okay. We open up with Indi Hartwell versus Tasha Steelz, and I like how we are following up basically with the two women from the 8-man mixed tag from Under Siege. I thought this was a really good match. I thought Indi looked a lot better this week in the ring. The gimmick's still weird. You know what I mean? I know she's a face, but I don't know what her character is at this point. That really doesn't really matter, but you need a little bit of a character. I wanted Tasha to win, and the way they booked this match, she was out there. She pretty much had the whole match until the very end, when Skylar, where Hotch wanted Skylar to kind of take out Tessa, and he didn't do it, and it kind of led to a distraction. Not Tessa, but Indi hits the Hurts Donut and gets the win. But yeah, I really wanted Tasha to win here, because I kind of want to see her back to World Championship status.
Yeah, I think like two things, to keep the momentum going for Indi. She just debuted recently, but the main story is like Order 4 group seems to having some communication issues, and like their leader Mustafa still on a downward spiral, I guess you could say, since Rebellion, to the point where he even like three times he put his hands on Tasha, and Jason Hotch. At least I don't know about John Skyler, but Jason Hodge at least felt some type of way about it, and got up into Mustafa's face. And if I don't know if they showed the subtitles during the live stream, but they put them up on Twitter right now. Basically, Hodge was saying like, if you're gonna put your hands on someone, put your hands on me, and then next thing you know, Tasha and John Skyler, walked away with Mustafa. So yeah, a lot of dissension going on with the Order 4 group. So as we'll get into what happens next after. So for my take, I'm trying to understand like where this is leading to exactly, like, because I mean, to spun on with you too, I actually like the group together. Tasha, the Gray Hands. So is this one of those where they kind of get on the same page later, or this probably might lead to an actual dissension? But guess we'll see.
Joseph says Indi is a newcomer. Plus Tasha had to lose this one of the new matches tomorrow. Okay, yeah, we'll get into that. A couple outcomes I could see. One, I could see this just kind of being a swerve and they all kind of get on the same page after, again, the match that was made. 2, I could see, because out of all 3 of them, I guess I could see Jason Hodge with a little bit of more of a babyface potential than obviously. I don't see Skylar ever as a babyface. I think he's a good heel, but at the same time, I don't think breaking up the good hands. I mean, the great hands is smart. You know what I mean? So, and the idea of just kind of, I don't like the idea of making Tasha seem like the weak link here. You know what I mean? When, if anything, if you look at the accolades of the people in the group.
Well, I mean, it's not. I wouldn't say it's a weak link. It's like they're making her like too innocent or so. Like, oh, like why is Mustafa picking on her, poor her, this and that. Like, I think that's just kind of like where we're going. Like him abusing his, his cabinet mates and stuff.
Yeah, because also you could say that he's trying to tell these people, that failure, we can't fail. You know what I mean? We need to. Yeah, that's true. Okay, next we're going to move on to just a quick Mance Warner segment where he's he's calling out Steve Macklin. Oh, SDL's there, and I just kind of like how I think Mance Warner really, really, really fits in TNA. I think he's one of those people who, like, when he signed, I was like, okay, that's a typical TNA signing. But he just basically says that SDL ends it with saying we want gold. We want gold again. I like this. What'd you think?
Same. I've been a fan of Mance Warner for some time, so I think we're kind of really getting to show like what he's really. I think this match with Steve Macklin is going to show what he's really capable of bringing into the table, and the pairing with her. I mean, the pairing with him and Steph is really good too. I hope this is not just a one and done. I feel like this is probably a match we can actually build to more. I mean, because obviously Macklin just came off of defending with EY and then defending against Cardona, so he's kind of like he hasn't really had time to build a new proper feud yet. So hopefully this ain't just a one and done.
Yeah, and I think the pair. I just want to say the pairing of Mansour and SCL. The crazy couple gimmick. It always works. And I feel like these two play off each other very well. So yeah, I like this. Okay, next we're gonna go back to, we finally have a segment with Order 4, and it's Tasha and Skylar backstage, and they get a mysterious phone call, and this was weird because Skylar answers, and you don't really know who he's talking to, but then Tasha picks up, grabs the phone and says, "Can you talk to Ali?" until Skylar grabs the phone again and hangs up and says, "Wrong number." What'd you think about this?
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting thing. Everyone's wondering who was on the phone. It's apparently it's just someone that knows all 4 of them, and Skylar and Tasha are kind of, well, actually Tasha, I think, actually no, man, basically they're kind of asking can you talk to Mustafa, calm him down, this and that. And apparently Skylar, he's just kind of trying to cut that off, doesn't want. Not sure yet, but hopefully we kind of get more revelation to this scenario, who's actually on the phone, but guess we'll see. And then later on, Mustafa had a few words with Hotch, basically saying basically kind of giving him an opportunity, so to speak, when that being Hotch will be facing Mustafa tomorrow at Against the Laws.
Yeah, and if they happen to go the route of kicking Hotch out of the group, maybe the phone call could be somebody who, a mysterious signing they bring in, that's who could have been on the phone that he joins Order 4, because they can't add a member and be Order 5 or Order 4 with 5 members. So, and maybe this person could be the heavy of the group. You know what I mean? really kind of solidify him because they really don't have anyone who just goes out there and whoops ass for him yet. So, they don't really have that member of the group. So I think that would be kind of interesting because there has been rumors of 2 people showing up at Against All Odds. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a rumor out there. Yeah, so there's a rumor out there about possible appearances for Against All Odds. For folks who want to look that up or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so just for the people, who maybe saw that, or just can kind of fantasy book. Maybe we might get somebody showing up, which would be cool. But either way, I kind of like the way they did this segment, just because I'm intrigued now what's going to happen with the outcome of this match. Okay, next we're going to go to the X Division Championship match. It was Eric Young versus Moose. This was a great match. I feel like I like how Hannafin knows TNA's signature title. Yeah, because the X Division I feel like is TNA. You know what I mean? So not I don't want to use the word exclusive, but I just feel like that that's very TNA. That's theirs. What'd you think about this match?
I enjoyed the match. Crowd was super Canadian, throughout. Especially that old vintage Petey Williams spot EY did on Moose, where Moose is upside down, and then EY has his foot under, and then the crowd was singing the whole Canadian national anthem. I thought that was pretty funny. And Ray Wall losing his shit, saying why ain't the ref doing anything about it, this and that, yeah, pretty funny stuff. The match, even though it was kind of short, for what it was, but it was pretty good. I like they kind of pointed out this is the second time Moose beat EY in Canada. And also, shout out, I think Moose is up right now. He's the 3rd longest reigning X Division champion.
Yeah, real quick. I'll add to that. Yeah, he the stats I wrote them down. Yeah, he just passed Trey Miguel, who's in 4th now. Tigre Uno held it at 223 days, 2nd place, and then Austin Aries holds the record at 298 days. So yeah, he's close.
Wait, how many days is Tigre Uno? Did it put this in?
223.
223. Oh, okay. So he already passed Daniels, right? I think.
Trey. He just passed Trey Miguel. He just passed Trey Miguel, who's in 4th now. So Moose is in 3rd.
Okay.
I believe they say he's at 210 days. So I think he's obviously gonna pass Tigre Uno. Yeah. And then so I think that he'll be close. I don't think he gets
he might reach the 2nd. He still has a long way to go because Aries is around 300 days. But, yeah.
And I think Leon's gonna break it soon. Yeah. This run for Moose to me is just kind of, because I think that he was already going to be a TNA Hall of Famer eventually. Look at the resumes and the longevity. He's been there a long time. I think he's going to be there for a few more years. But this is just kind of like the finishing touches too, I think. You know what I mean? Because he's having they noted that he's had 9 defenses of this title already across 2 brands. So, yeah, he's been putting in work with this run.
Yeah.
This match was good. Short, but it was good. And like you said, I like the tribute to Team Canada and Petey Williams. I've been watching some old TNA, and yeah, Petey Williams when he had hair too. Man.
Yeah.
This was a fun match. Moose did get the win. At one point, Aries. I thought EY had it, but JDC interfered. It was interesting though. After the match, EY I think hit a fan. I don't know. It was funny. I didn't expect a heel turn in Canada. They were the face in the match, and then they kind of you know what I mean. This was interesting. Yeah. So I'm liking.
Yeah. I think they never really turned, to be honest. It was just because they're they're baby faces in their own home country,
That's
and like
true.
now
That's
even
true.
now even they, and despite that they still attack one of their own. So it's kind of funny. I mean, I think the dude was Canadian, so it's kind of funny too.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Next, we're gonna move on to just a Dani Luna promo. It was quick, but she basically said Spitfire's dead, but Dani Luna's not. So yeah, I like this.
Me too. I've been a fan of Dani's work. She's I know folks for who are still new to like them individuals. Like Dani, she's really good. If you should check out her DPW stuff and the Rep Pro, she can really hang out with the best of them. She even faced Mercedes Monet, not too long ago and stuff. So I'm really interested to see, what can she do, without Jody by her side, and kind of for her to shine, because for Dani, she's always kind of, at least for like on screen, she's always kind of been paired up, whether it's with Subculture, and then Spitfire. So it's kind of real interesting to see what she can do by herself.
Yeah, I always thought, especially to like the latter point of the teaming with her and Spitfire, she was showing a lot to where I was like, okay, I think that there's something there with her with a singles run. So I'm interested to see where they go. And she also, I kind of like how she showed a different side of her, not different sides, but just a little edge to her character in this promo. So yeah, I definitely really want to see where this goes. Okay, next we had a Joe Hendry promo. What'd you think about this?
This is where we're seeing Joe, humbled. He feels disappointed, as we would expect. Like he feels like he let the company down, and you can tell like this really like bothered him. Like losing the title to someone who's not even on the roster, and you're trying to like figure, okay, like where does he go from here? Like basically he's trying to like tell us, oh no, basically he's trying to in a way, motivate himself back away, say like, it's his duty to like, regain the title, bring it back to TNA. He also gave a shout out to Elijah, right. But right now, like Elijah has the title shot. I'm proud of him. He deserves it and stuff. So, and then after that, then Frankie, obviously, who other than Frankie, to come out and interrupt Joe, basically degrade him, saying like. Basically like saying like he made an embarrassment to the company, and saying that he's gonna get one chance to like make an embarrassment out of him. Yeah, so um or was I going, oh yeah, he also said he's a better wrestler, he would make a better champion than him and stuff. So I mean, it was a very good segment. It'd be interesting what kind of mood Joe will be into tomorrow when they face off. What's your thoughts on the segment?
Yeah, again, I thought Joe Hendry did a good job of selling the sadness. How interesting would it be? Because part of me always kind of thought that there was elements of Joe's character that's very heelish. I think it'd be very interesting if he turned on Elijah and cost Elijah the title against. Because I think we have to find a way to get to Elijah versus Joe. So maybe Joe turns on him. So,
Correct.
but yeah, no, Kazarian's such a dick, and
Yeah.
but he's not wrong in the sense that because a lot of wrestlers have vocalized this. Technically Joe did let the company down. In storyline. So
Yeah.
I like how that's one of the continued storylines. And as far as where Joe goes from here as well, again, I think that he's just. I don't see him winning the title back, but there's still a lot of stuff that he needs to do. with all this before if he decides to leave. So, but this was good.
Yeah, for Joe, I think he needs to kind of like, I wouldn't say like show a different side, but kind of like show us what is he willing to do to like get back on track of possibly trying to get the title back. Basically, kind of like it's like how like when a team loses, its streak, like how do they recover? So basically, it's recovery mode for Hendry.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Next, we're gonna move on to another women's match. Man, the show is loaded with great knockouts matches.
Yeah.
We have Myla Grace and Harley Hudson versus the Elegance brand, Heather by Elegance and M by Elegance, accompanied by the Concierge. I thought that Myla and Harley, especially Harley, for being pretty young early in her career, I thought they both looked really good. I thought that you can already tell that TNA made two great investments in these two. The Elegance brand did win, but I think they needed to, especially with Ash not there. I think they needed to represent. So, what do you think about this match?
It's a good show, very good showcase for Myla and Harley. As we're still trying to get to know them. These girls can go. I'll give them that. Obviously, personal concierge, getting involved. I'll say it was a good showcase for both teams. For the newcomers, given introduction of what they're capable of, and obviously the Elegance brand reminding them like this is their yard. I mean, like this is their brand division and whatnot. And so remember, like you're not just facing Ash, Heather, and them. You also have the concierge to deal with. So pretty good. Also, yeah, and Heather and them, they have some good chemistry. So I wouldn't mind if they actually freebird the Knockouts tag titles, so it's like you don't know which pair of the Elegance you're facing.
I like the old school dynamic pairing in just when you look at M and Heather, because Heather's on the shorter side and M is very tall. So this just reminds me of like a typical dynamic of a tag team that you would see. I also like just the fact that you have
Ash, who's the brains, who's the brains. Heather, who does the the moves.
Yeah.
And, M being like the taller of the group, who can.
Yeah.
So yeah, they all bring something to the table.
Yeah. The perfect dynamic. This group is great. I think also I just like when you stand back and look at this is a quarter of the rebuild of the Knockouts division. You know what I mean? Heather being the longest tenured there, but not very long, like a year. But
that's what I love about this whole division. Like even though it's kind of small, like they're able to kind of showcase. Majority of the roster. Like each woman gets enough time, whether it's on a segment or a wrestling match or a promo. Like that's the beauty thing. Like take advantage. Like every minute. That's feel like every minute counts for a wrestling show.
Yeah, Joe says Harley's been signed since 2023. Yeah, but you know what I mean. She's here now. You know what I mean. That stuff. It's usually with international signings, there's usually some red tape they have to go through. But again, I think the plan is, and since Harley and Myla will be going for the titles, hopefully not soon. Hopefully we're getting to a point where we have a few more teams. I think we will. But this was good stuff. And you have 4 new signings. And I look at this division as a whole, and I think it's probably one of the most talented it's ever been. You know what I mean? I think just from a work standpoint, I think pretty much every woman in the roster can go. So, I think that was a good. I think that was a good example of that tonight. But okay, next we're gonna again back-to-back knockouts matches. We move on to
Also,
the
wait, one more thing. Yeah, for a show that didn't even have Masha or Tessa on it, so like, yeah, they can really go.
Yeah, it's funny. Again, I'm not here to throw stones or anything, but it's a very the parallels. I mean, not the juxtaposition almost of last night. People pointed out how there was a lack of female action in a
Yeah,
4-hour AEW show, and
which is wild. Which is wild. Because
and
like
then you just
for like a 4 hour program, but yeah.
and then you just get tonight where again you have 3 matches. You had, I think, you had two videos with the women. You had a segment with Alicia Crawford on screen. Yeah, the women were kind of just. I think the women were the stars of the show. So yeah, it's a very big difference. But again, TNA's always done that. So, but we move on to the Monsters Ball match, which I love this match because of course they had to show that they've been locked away, no food and water. It's so hokey, but it's very funny. I think it just adds a little something to this match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was Xia Brookside versus Rosemary. I thought this was a really fun match, and for anyone who's like, oh well, who maybe saw that report about the lack of violence, I don't think that this match was hurt by that. I thought this was a very good match. That spot with the hockey pucks looked brutal. You know what I mean? But what'd you think about this match?
Hold on. Shout out to Joseph saying 4 hours only and one women's match. The world 4 hours and only one women's match. The world around Mercedes and Mona. He's talking about AEW yesterday. That TNA Knockouts division is so thick. They had about 40 minutes of TV. Exactly. You can see the consistency there for TNA. The match, it was pretty good. I'm glad they brought the locked in the door 24 hours. Always kind of like, bringing the whole nostalgia to the Monsters Ball. So as I was watching, I was paying close attention to how how this new Xia Brookside is like. We kind of seen like she's more like her mood changes, her reaction changes like throughout the match. That's what we're kind of seeing. Like at first, she didn't want to use the weapons that Rosemary was bringing into the match, but at some point, given it's Monsters Ball, you got to do whatever it takes. It was fun, but overall, it was fun. Obviously, with Rosemary, working with Rosemary, you're gonna get you're gonna ton of fun out of it. These ladies they brought it out. Chairs got involved, hockey sticks got. Oh, you mentioned the hockey pucks. Yeah, that was pretty that was pretty funny. Given they're in a hockey venue, and everything. Oh yeah, everything. Trash cans, trash lids. Pretty fun, and yeah. Joseph said this is the 60th Monster Ball TNA history, which is pretty cool.
Damn.
And I believe this is the first knockouts Monster Ball in 3 years, which was, and to my knowledge, it was Masha and Ali Catch. So
Okay.
like that was kind of a while back. So I remember. I think I saw someone in a comment, not here, but like a while back, saying like, why didn't they push this match to Against All Odds? Well, gotta give the Impact viewers like us, some good. So yeah, again, good match. It'll be interesting to where both women go, but for Xia particularly, because now we've seen where she's been pushed to the limit, and like we see now she can hang in a Monsters Ball situation. So interesting to see where it goes from there.
Yeah. I completely agree, especially with Xia. I really liked it. That's why I think also they could go 2 ways. Maybe her and Rosemary are bonded by this, and they do become a tag team. But just Xia being able to show that second gear. You know what I mean? Just shows she's got some edge to her. I definitely think that makes people and in some people's eyes like, okay, that's the future the Knockouts world champion. Again, I thought that for a while, but I think that just kind of cemented that for me tonight. Yeah, the finisher she had on the chairs looked dope. This was a really good match. But yeah, anything else you want to say about it?
No, that's about it.
Next, we had a fun segment. It was the Rascals Treehouse segment, and I didn't really catch like the theme, but it seemed like they were like naming like a bunch of like they were talking like brother tag teams and like brother teams. Is that what the theme of this was?
Yeah, they're basic question like what makes the Nemeths good brothers or a great brother team and stuff, and like they're saying like they're more of a brother team than the Nemeths, and yeah, pretty fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, this was funny. Then we got a Santino in-ring promo, and let me just say this kind of won me over in the sense that before I didn't really give a shit about this match between him and Robert Stone, but now I really care because he's basically saying that if he's stepping down and that if Robert Stone wins, he's going to get Santino's job, but then he says he fires back up. And he also talks about how he loves his job and he wants to do his best for TNA, but then he said if Robert Stone wins, he gets his job. But then he transitions by saying that he's only stepping down for one day because after he beats Robert Stone's ass, he's going to come back and take over TNA. And then it kind of got me fired up, you know what I mean? Because this is almost like the second TNA versus NXT, battle, with high stakes on the line.
Yeah.
And just before I let, because I want to hear what you have to say. Usually with matches like this, it's going to seem like, or like with two celebrities or just like two like people in power or authority, you're like, okay, that's going to kind of suck. They're not wrestlers, but we both have proof. Everyone have proof that Santino and Robert Stone can both go. You know what I mean? They were both good wrestlers in their time. So I'm excited for this.
Yeah. I mentioned also in our chat, like, it's crazy how unpredictable this match particularly is because it can go either way. Like either we're rid of I almost called him Rob Stoner. We're almost rid of Robert Stone, and things back to normal with Santino, or Santino has to step away, and then we have to deal with this goof now. So that's we'll see. But as far as tonight, we saw a little more serious Santino. Like he's all business, and I love how he mentioned, in his early career, he didn't really have time to spend time with his family and his kids, especially Ariana particularly. And like you can sense how how like it was hard to kind of like get that out of him because as this business, you don't really get to spend much time with family, yada 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 and stuff. So right now, leading up to this scene, seeing how his daughter is doing well, being there in NXT, and now all that could possibly come to an end, like seeing them on screen together, potentially, but thanks to this match. But yeah, as far as the match, he, Robert Stone came out, with him and Crawford, talking down to Santino again, this and that, and Santino, put him in his place, say in front, like, the only way you're gonna take over TNA is over my dead body. Bam, love the whole thing. How about you?
Yeah, this was a fiery babyface promo from Santino. He got the crowd going. Then the heel Robert Stone came out, who I was hoping he was going to end one of the statements with "bro," because he kind of was doing his. He was kind of doing his Jersey character from TNA. It felt like the cadence of his voice, which, I don't want Santino to lose, but if Rob Terry interferes with a sweater, and cost him the match. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
wouldn't hate that, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
Mr. Spectacular, or you know what I mean? Or somebody, maybe DJZ. But I thought this segment was really fun. And again, Joe says, you know, it's funny that the general manager of TNA is on the line. Yes, I think that's
Dude needs to lay off the dude needs to lay off the tan. Like he's looking like a he's looking like a Chris cookie right there. Like, he should be careful right there.
he looks like he went to Braun Breaker's guy. You know what I mean? He was looking, yeah, he does need a layoff. he was looking bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, Joe's pointing out, yeah, while the general managership of TNA is on the line, like I pointed out, this match isn't like, it's not going to be a comedy match. You know, I'm expecting Santino to go. You know, the only thing that'll be comedy is I think he'll probably pull out the Cobra. You know what I mean? Which again, that's his finisher. But I do think it's going to be a good match.
Yeah.
I mean,
obviously, shenanigans is a lot of shenanigans is gonna get involved tomorrow. So, see where it goes from there.
Terrence says Cookie should cost Robert Stone the match. Okay. See, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that would be funny. If there's some shenanigans like that, I would love that. That's fine. Okay, next we just real quick, we had a Masha segment, and she was hyping up her match with Lee, which should be a good match. I'm very excited for this, just because even again, there's no story to that, but it's the story of, you know, we should see who's best. So I like this.
Yeah, I was fond of, you know, when Masha cuts promos. Like you can really like it helps you get a sense of like, you know, a more different side of her. Yeah. And she's basically saying like, you know, she wants, you know, real competition. Like she wants to be tested, and she feels this match with Lane is really gonna put another tester. And I agree too, like, because, you know, both women, you know, they have their different backgrounds. As we mentioned, Linger, you know, she has a great, you know, background. She, I think she actually knocked out, and in WWE, she actually knocked out a couple of her foes. So like those lethal strikes we see on TV, they ain't no joke.
Yeah,
and yeah. And,
I did not know.
Yeah,
good match.
What you're saying?
Oh no, I was just gonna say real quick. Yeah, I did not know that. And then, yeah, this is gonna be a good match.
Yeah,
but yeah, sorry.
I mentioned. I noticed Terrence Sullivan earlier. He said like, "Why is Masha still champ?" Well, because who's there to beat her? Best answer for you to do right there. But I mean, we'll bring up the challenge. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next we have main event time, which first we have the Nemeths come out, and they have I don't know, they're going by the Hollywood Heels now. It looks like, well, that's what they didn't get called that, but that's what the gear said. Which that's a great name. If that's what they're calling themselves, that's a great name. But it was the Nemeths and Kazarian versus Matt Hardy, Leon Slater, and Santana. This was a fun trios match. I enjoyed this. What'd you think? The crowd was hot for it.
Yeah, good main event. I love how, you know, Tom Hannafin, you know, mentions on commentary, Santana, he can't be in the right state of mind because, you know, First Class got involved in this title match. A lot of good sequence, you know, the 6-man tag. I noticed at one point, you know, when Santana does that Death Valley Drive, you know, that pop-up Death Valley Driver move, it looked like it kind of knocked Nemeth out for a bit. I mean, Ryan for a bit when the referee was counting. Didn't really see the shoulder up a bit, but that's just one to point out. You know, good sequence. Leon Slater, you know, any match Leon Slater is just one to watch. You know, Matt Hardy, you know, crowd obviously it's great how like the crowd's still over the Hardys, even though like one of them is there. Uh, yeah, Frankie, they're good sequence. Yeah, good sequence by all 6 men.
Yeah, I thought this was. I thought again, TNA does a really good job with these type of matches. I thought everyone kind of got to show a little bit. You know what I mean? Everyone got their spots where they were going to look the best. Santana winning, I like, get a win back. I always like when it just always makes sense with Ryan Nemeths going to take the pin. I think that's kind of his job, which doesn't hurt him at this point just because that's his role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, this was good. I thought everyone looked good. Santana looked really good, especially obviously Slater. But this was great. Anything else you want to say before we move into Against All Odds predictions?
So I think this was a solid go home show. Mostly for the knockouts. I think they all shined, and again, shout out to Hannafin, keeping on this commentary to a T about how like First Class betrayed TNA, Mike Santana pissed off. So like you can see we're kind of really forwarding this whole NXT TNA storyline, crossover feud, and like like how Trick winning the title is like the worst thing that could ever happen. Basically, it's all basically layered storyline, which I kind of dig. So, but overall, yeah, solid episode, in my opinion.
Okay, next real quick, we're just gonna do a quick predictions before we get out of here. For Against All Odds, it's funny. We're not gonna spend all night on it, obviously. We're running out of time. But I watched before this. Last time I watched Against All Odds, 2005, 20 years ago. You were talking about Petey Williams. He was on that show. Had a great match with Elix Skipper. There was a great 30-minute Iron Man match on that show. Daniels and AJ. What was funny about what other stood out to me? Oh, Jeff Hardy, great Monsters Ball match with the Biff. Full Metal Mayhem match with the Biss.
Mm-hmm.
But it was funny. I couldn't believe watching Kevin Nash. I think he was like 46 at the time. It was him versus Jeff Jarrett. Man, what a clusterfuck that match was. Did you remember that show?
I remember some of it. Yeah. Like I remember the Iron Man match with AJ and Daniels, and the main event with Jarrett and Nash.
Man, I don't know how old Jeff was at the time, but
like Jeff was mad heated at that time. Like, yeah, I understand. Like he held that belt for so long, so many people could not wait for it to be taken off him. To the point where even like cheering for Kevin Nash of all people to beat him, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, that was a story that was like they show the promos before. That's definitely what it seemed at the press conference, and then the whole thing during the pay-per-view, you had like Dusty and the championship committee like saying no one can interfere in this match. You know what I mean? Zbyszko saying that. Yeah, it was funny. He ended up winning. Kip James came out, interfered. Believe it or not, you had all three members of the Generation X out there at one point.
Yeah.
Wallman
there? Yeah.
Wallman showed up. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, let's get into these predictions. The first match is the countdown match. It's all three members of the Elegance brand, Ash, Heather, and M, taking on Xia Brookside, Myla Grace, and Harley Hudson. This is going to be good. This should be fun. Mm-hmm. Well, who do you think? Who do you got?
On paper, you think the Elegance brand, because they're all and well, I was gonna say at first I was thinking the Elegance brand because they're all on a good streak, momentum and stuff. But I think I would say go for Xia's team, so we can start getting Myla and Harley on the run-in for potential tag title contention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, it's interesting, like, Ash and Xia, they've been kind of feuding since last year, and here they are, still feuding again. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Harley, Myla, and Xia for the win.
Yeah, I like how everyone kind of in this match has history, so it makes sense for Xia to be in there. But I do agree with you that I think that the faces win. I think Harley, Xia, and Myla win this one. Well, Team UK.
Yeah.
Next, we have the First Class Penthouse, which the special guest is Santana, which is a little weird, but that's very heelish of First Class. This should be interesting.
Well, if Navarro and Francis are smart, they have security lined up with him, because can imagine the mood Mike is going to be in when he sees those two. So it should be interesting. Be a very interesting penthouse.
Yeah, yeah. I don't expect this to go well. So this should be intrigue. Okay, next we have basically I guess what's billing as the Control of TNA match. We have Santino Marella, who's going to have Ariana Grace in his corner versus Robert Stone, with Tassa's being billed in his corner. I think Santino wins this. I don't think that we're going to see him lose his job. So,
I'll go with Santino too, but I would not be surprised if Stone actually does come out of this, because you got to think, like, at some point, like, and Santino, Santino's been here for about over 3 years now, which is kind of crazy. So they're thinking like, like, if this were, they might have him, step aside or write him off or whatnot. But
that's true.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But, as far as, like, Robert Stone, it wouldn't be the worst. But I mean, having Stone in charge, it would definitely kind of favor Trick Williams particularly, because, he's there, he's in NXT. And, it will obviously favor a lot of the heels, especially Tessa and Crawford. So I'm going to be 50-50, but for now I'll go with Santino, because actually no. All right. To play a little interest, I'll go with Stone, because I will not be surprised. But yeah, but if it's Santino, I'll be happy too. So yeah.
Yeah, now that you think about it, I wouldn't mind. Now you say it, I wouldn't mind heel general manager for a little bit until maybe they could have Santino come back or a face come back at Slammiversary. But having the idea of someone from NXT running the show while Trick is champion, I like that idea. So I think Stone's winning.
Yeah. I see Joseph. I'm saying TNA would be stupid if Robert Stone. I mean, listen, like,
it's storyline.
Listen, like, who doesn't love shock factor and unpredictability? You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
That's the beauty of nature of the business. I mean, if Santino wins, I'll be happy too. But, like, if Robert wins, well, hey, I mean, you can always, refresh, and, there's always a time to refresh and some stuff. So,
Dati always likes to quote Eric Bischoff: "Controversy does create cash."
Exactly,
so
exactly.
You know what I mean? You got to keep them guessing. So
exactly.
Yeah, I think Santino wins. I mean, not Santino. I think Robert Stone wins. It's the era of Sheriff Stone.
All right. But again, we'll be fine with it. We'll be fine with either. Actually, no, we'll be fine if Santino wins too.
Yeah, exactly. It's all good.
The heart, we want Santino to win, but the mind thing, like, is possible Stone can pull this off.
Exactly. It makes sense for Stone to win.
It would help increase, the NXT TNA rivalry feud. So
exactly.
And one more thing. You also wonder, like, where does Ariana Grace, go from there? Like, she essentially had to start taking orders. Well, actually, not really. She's the liaison, but, like, Stone will call the shots more, so it'll be kind of interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, next we have Ali versus Jason Hotch. This is going to be. I'm excited for this because not only is this going to be a really good match, I would expect, but the unpredictability factor. What's going to happen? I think obviously I don't. I think something's. I think there's going to be a turn. Just it depends on who from who, but I think Ali wins.
This is gonna be a show. This is gonna be a good showcase match, especially for Jason Hodge, uh, showing showing us and viewers what he's capable of doing on his own. I remember I noticed someone tweeted to Gail Kim not too long ago, like, who would you get behind if you were in charge of TNA, and she mentioned Jason Hodge. And I think we all kind of agree to, like, he has some potential in him, like when he goes in the ring, and especially when he was an Ultimate X a while back. He really shined well too. So I'm really happy for him, like, getting this opportunity to kind of like showcase. So, like, yeah, it'll be a good match. Mustafa will get the win. He's gonna abuse verbally, to Jason. And I won't say we get like a split. It'd probably just be, defeat him, put him back in his place, and then kind of move on from there. It'll be interesting to see if they still kind of continue this who's on the phone storyline, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, Mustafa will win.
I'm trying to think, if what was that? Because I do think maybe that person could come in and take out Hotch for him. You know what I mean? Cost them. You know what I mean? That could be the new member. I'm trying to think if in my head if any of the most recent WWE releases, if any of them happen to be a former member of Retribution, that faction Ali used to lead. Maybe they come in, but I don't know if any of those people are on the list or if any of those people are available. But
it could be. I mean, that's a good point, but could be.
But yeah, I think Ali's winning. So next, let's move on to the 8-man tag, which is the System taking on Leon Slater, the Hardys, and a mystery team member. I think the faces win. I don't know who. I can't think of anybody who could be their mystery team member, but I think it's somebody big enough to where that they have to win because of that. What do you think?
Two things. I think. Well, I'm glad they made this match, actually, because I think now for Leon Slater particularly, this is where he starts building back up to potentially get a shot at the X Division title, and him getting the pin there would probably kind of like set upon that track. As far as the mystery partner, not sure. It could be anybody, but I noticed someone put a good possible, possibly maybe Trevor Lee, formerly Cameron Grimes from WWE. Would make sense because he actually has history with the Hardys, because he was their protege, basically, in the North Carolina area. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's someone like Trevor Lee. But yeah, as far as the match, I'm gonna go with the baby faces, just for Leon Slater to kind of like get in back in title contention, because they keep mentioning like how in Ultimate X at Rebellion he was close to winning the title until Moose intercepted that. So.
I think Trevor Lee would be a good choice, but yeah, I think the faces winning, and I would like to see Ali. I would like to see Slater pinning Moose just because they need to set up that rematch. So I think that would be a good way to start that. Okay, next we have. Oh, hold on, lost where I was. Next, we have the International Championship match. It's Mance Warner with SDL taking on Steve Macklin. What do you got?
Again, another good banger. I hope this ain't the one. This ain't a one and done. I think Mance and Steve can bring a lot more. As you know, they both have some. They both have. You could say some similarities. Different backgrounds, obviously, but like some similarities, like in the way in the way they bring it to the ring. Steph's gonna get involved, obviously. Should be a good, should be a good match. Builds up more, to Steve's current reign with the international title and adds more prestige to it.
Yeah, this is more going to be more of a brawl, which I definitely think is not only Steve's style, but you could even say more Manser style. So this is going to be good. I think Macklin does retain, but I think this is going to be hard hitting. In no way are they going to make Mance look weak. So this is going to be good.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have the tag team title match. We have the Rascals taking on the defending champs of the Hollywood Hills, the Nemeths. This you go first because I'm conflicted on this one.
Good. It should be a good one. No offense to Ryan, but obviously Nick will be doing most of the work, so it'll be a good one. I like they're still like keeping the Rascals in title contention. Like I like because Wentz he challenged for the X-Men title not too long ago, so you can see like they're also like showcasing them in singles along with tags, so like we're seeing a lot of varieties with with Trey and Wentz. The match would be good. The Nemeths probably take this one because I don't think the Hardys are done with the Nemeths, and we might parlay into something for Slammiversary. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I can't just I just don't know who they're gonna have. I'm starting to think I don't think the Hardys will win their titles back. Maybe they do, but because this would be a good spot to have them drop to the Rascals. They are a young team, but at the same time, I think the Nemeths winning is more than likely. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Nemeths.
Yeah.
Next, we're gonna go with Joe Hendry versus Kazarian. This one's simple for me. I think Joe loses. I think he has to continue to lose for a little bit, especially for what I'm going to say for the main event. So I think Joe loses.
This is a big one. Oh, but this is a big one for both guys, particularly. But for Hendry, yeah. No, I get your take. For Frankie, I'm gonna go with Joe because I think we're gonna start seeing like how Joe kind of like recovers back and see what's next for him after dropping the belt to Trick. What's funny is like last year they faced each other last year's against the odds, so it's funny they're facing each other at this year's against the odds. It goes to show Joe and Frankie have been feuding for like a year now, for like over a year. So if this is the last, if this is the last one, like I'm good. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Joe. And I know you brought up something about the main event, so I think I know where you're getting at too. So we'll get to there.
Okay. Yeah. Next we have the Knockouts title match. It's going to be Masha versus Yingling Li. Who do you got?
This is going to be an absolute banger. Potential between the Knockouts, Mustafa and Hotch, Macklin and Warner. I think the Knockouts are really going to tear down the place.
Yes,
like we're really gonna see probably Masha's best challenger to date because I think Lei is that good, and even Gail Kim herself, had high praise. She pointed out like Lei Ying, who's Xia Li a while back, had so much praises from the peers and rosters, like she's really good. obviously underutilized. So I think we're gonna really get to see what she's capable of.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
possible like being like a top level contender.
I completely agree. I think this is probably going to be the match of the night. This is where I think Masha's winning, which leads me to this is where I'm
Masha.
confident.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Masha retains. Yeah.
This is where I'm not confident, but this is where I think we get one of the two surprises that maybe are rumored. I think we get the returning of Killer Kelly because I think they said something about two former champions showing up.
Okay.
I think Killer Kelly, because I think that's who's going to ultimately beat Masha. They have history. Yeah, I think Killer Kelly shows up. I think that's what we get. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do have Masha winning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, finally we move on to the World Championship match. We have Elijah challenging Trick. This should be interesting. Who do you got?
Well, considering he just won the belt, Trick, because I think we have something going on, starting with this potential alliance with him, Casey Navarro and AJ Francis. I think they call themselves First Class Trickin'. But it's yeah. But it's yeah, I think this is probably going to be a good another decent title defense. Yeah, Elijah, he's been picking up some wins recently. But I mean, good spot for him. Good spot for him main event in the PLE.
Yeah.
I think First Class is definitely going to get possibly get involved here. This we'll see, because the new Trick, because with the new Trick Williams, something's going to happen where 30-handed tactics or interference. That's all it's going to come down to. So yeah, I'm interested to see what's next. For Trick's reign parlays into. So yeah, Trick definitely retaining.
This is simple for me actually. I think Trick wins. I think that Joe Henry costs Elijah just because, and I think because TNA is going to kind of show WWE how to turn a beloved character heel. They're gonna show him because the Cena heel turns kind of falling flat.
Pretty risky, but it's not the first time they would do something like that.
So, and I think we get the Y Joe from Hannah Fan. I think Joe comes out in full dark hair on Thursday. I don't think he necessarily needs to go with a dark beard, but I think that he just to be. I don't think he needs to blame the fans, but I just think that I think that would really throw people off. And while I think it'll be hard to get people to boo Joe Henry, I just think why not?
That's the thing. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, he reminds me of
yeah.
party type where it was hard to boo Jeff. So
yeah. But then again, like Cena became a heel, so
yeah.
Again, I mean, anything's possible.
All right, well that about covers it. I think that again, back-to-back nights of TNA. I think people always kind of sleep on the B shows when they're announced, but then the same people kind of praise them after they happen because they always over-deliver. It's easy to over-deliver when you kind of are under expecting something. So with that being said, I would just say you guys got to watch tomorrow. And any final thoughts from you, Io?
Yeah, if you're a wrestling fan in the mood for something Friday nights, I tune into Against All Odds because you guys are gonna get a whole lot of wrestling for your buck, as they say.
And a
very stacked looking card. A very stacked looking card. Title matches, knockouts matches, possibly surprises, depending the rumors or how you want to read it. And of course, NXT, a little NXT flavor into it. So good looking card tomorrow. And the last live show until Slammiversary. So you can tell we're speeding things up ahead.
Yeah, Joe. It's a late start time. 6:30, 9:30 p.m. Eastern is the countdown. Main card is at 7. So yeah. I was just gonna say that, which is a little late, but again, it's Friday night. People are usually up a little later. So That should be fine. But with that being said, I want to thank you guys all for joining us. Make sure to subscribe, get notified whenever we go live, whenever Body Slam goes live. And real quick, where can people find you on social media?
They can keep checking me out on X, Frequency IO. I'm tweeting about wrestling, movies, whatnot, anything I find funny and stuff.
Yeah, good. I was a great follow. You can follow me as well as on X at just Burt Mackin 11. And like I said, make sure you like and subscribe to this video. Subscribe to Body Slam for whenever we go live and whenever whenever we go live, when anyone on Body Slam goes live. And with that being said, make sure to watch Against the Odds tomorrow night, and we'll see you later. Have a good night.
All right, have a good night, everyone.